wanting only to enter the shrine.
Who needs tickets?
How much are they?
The buttons are $200 a piece. You get a ticket with a button.
Nostrovia, and go Cubs.
We attended the ceremonies from the left field bleachers, where many of the old faithful bleacher bums had been replaced by Ivy League types. The Cubs had held a ticket lottery. Rooftops across the street also did a land office business. A lot of the old guard did manage to take up their old positions one way or another.
Something. Astroneer sends it deep left field. Going back and looking up is Mercedes. It's gone.
And they fell upon Bob Dernier's first-inning home run ball like a swarm of bees. The fans here represent Cubism at its most eloquent, loud, a little rowdy, but deep down inside, wanting only the opportunity to love and be loved in return. History offers abundant evidence that if the Cubs can lose, they will lose. And Cub fans have carried that history, that remembrance of sin, around with them year after year after year. These Cubs are capable of absolving all those past sins, and their fans are ready for it. Boy, are they ready.
Well, from my playing days here at Wrigley Field and in wandering around the stands yesterday, one thing is for sure. Cub fans are different. Love them or hate them, they're certainly not boring. And among the many Cub fans in the country, George Will, the ABC News commentator. George?
Tim, being as you are from Tennessee, I know you know the country music song, Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. There have been times over the last 39 years when I wish there'd been a song, Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cub Fans. Think of it. Every franchise in existence in 1945 has won something before the Cubs did. The Boston Braves, the Philadelphia Athletics, even the St. Louis Browns, who were for a while even worse than the Cubs. They moved to Baltimore and became the most winning team in baseball. Here's another humiliation we suffered. When the National League expanded, making teams out of reject players from other teams, the Cubs were the first team to finish beneath an expansion team. I grew up in central Illinois, midway between Chicago and St. Louis. All my friends became Cardinal fans and rooted for the Cardinals, who had real athletes like Tim McCarver. The Cubs were awful. The Cardinal fans grew up normal and had happy childhoods. I was a bitter old man by the age of 10 years old. But now things are different, and Cub fans are coming out of the woodwork, including some phony Cub fans. So we have a test. Ask them who Harry Cheedy was and why is he famous. He was a not very good catcher and a rather worse batter, but one day, for reasons I don't understand, they tried to walk him intentionally. The outfielders started chatting with one another. He leaned out over the plate and hit a triple. That's a typical Cub highlight of the last 39 years. For that reason, you can see why the Cub fans have a peculiar motto. It is, in defeat, we are indomitable. In victory, we are insufferable. Tim?
An interesting sidelight to that Harry Cheedy story. Harry Cheedy was once traded for a player to be named later, and he was the player to be named later. Now, while you're trying to figure that out, we will return with Game 2 of the National League Championship Series right after this. Stay tuned.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does
Bobby Vinton and the national anthem. Our pregame festivities are over, and we'll be back with game number 2 right after these messages.
Game 2 of the National League Championship Series is being brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Chevrolet. Drive today's Chevy. Live today's Chevy. By Gillette, makers of the Good News disposable razor with 2 blades. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Well, we're back at Wrigley Field. Game number 2. The Chicago Cubs and the San Diego Padres. The Padres trying to get on the board. And right here is the San Diego lineup this afternoon. Alan Wiggins leading off at second base. Tony Gwynn batting second and in right field. Steve Garvey will hit third at first base. Kevin McReynolds batting fourth and in center field. Carmelo Martinez in left field. He'll hit fifth. Harry Kennedy batting sixth and doing the catching, batting seventh. And at third base, Luis Salazar. Craig Nettles out injured. We'll tell you about that later. Gary Templeton at shortstop. And Mark Thurman will be the starting pitcher this afternoon. Jody Davis, the catcher, and yesterday there was controversy over the umpiring here at Wrigley Field in the first game of this championship series. And prior to the game, I had a chance to talk with Jody just about the different thoughts on the amateur umpiring yesterday.
Jody, your opinion of the umpiring yesterday?
Well, it was a little erratic at times. I think the strike zone was way high compared to what we're used to. May have been 6 or 8 inches high. You know, Rick Sutcliffe threw a lot of pitches that were right on the knees, and I'm sure Eric Schau threw some pitches that were low strikes. The type of game that he has to pitch, and neither pitcher got the pitches. You know, we just turned out that yesterday we got ahead early and took them out of their running game, but I thought the strike zone was a little erratic, and you know, who knows what to look for today.
Well, we will see what will happen today in game number 2. Right now, we'll check the Cub defense of Leon Durham over at first base. At second base will be Ryan Sandberg. Moving across over to shortstop, the veteran Larry Bowa. And over at third, another veteran in Ron Say. Moving to the outfield, a big day yesterday, and Gary Matthews in left. In center field, he caught them all yesterday out there and had a home run to boot, Bob Dernier. And over in right field, maybe the game-saving catch or what might have turned the tide, Keith Moreland. Behind the plate and doing the catching, the man you just heard from, Jody Davis. And on the mound, the starting pitcher this afternoon for the Chicago Cubs, it'll be left-hander Steve Trout, a record of 13-7, and Trout with that 3.41 ERA. So we will check with the umpires. They move them around a little bit as Dave Slickenmeyer will be behind the plate. Joe Pomponi will be at first. Joe Mayer at second, and Dick Cavanaugh will be over at third. The men in blue, and still only 4 umpires here in the National League, where we saw 6 at Kansas City last night.
And I don't understand that. But getting back to pitcher Trout, the scouting report on Trout is that he has to use a sinker. He has to keep it down on the outside half of the plate. He's got an excellent changeup, and we'll see that a lot. But when he was with the other Chicago club on the south side, he could throw the ball over 90 miles an hour, and he could sneak it by you high. But the word is that if he starts to get up with the wind blowing out to right field, that there'll be somebody up in the bullpen early.
Well, here we go in game number 2. Alan Wiggins to lead it off. Wiggins, a switch hitter, hitting .258. Last year, well, the '84 season, 3 home runs and 34 RBIs. The key to Trout, you start off right off the bat and start counting the ground ball outs. Now Trout ready, and we're underway. Missing inside, 1-0 the count.
Since the wind is blowing from left to right, it should not be as big a factor as it was in yesterday's ballgame.
A very pleasant afternoon. Another full house. Ground ball up the middle. Bo over from behind the bag. Throws to get it. 1 away. 1 ground ball out.
Got the first out with a sinker.
Manager Dick Williams down in that San Diego dugout. He wants to go back desperately with a 1-1 split. And, of course, Jimmy Fry in that other dugout. He wants to go to San Diego 2-0 as Tony Gwynn, the National League batting champion, stands in, hitting .351, 5 home runs and 71 RBIs on the '84 year. There's the strike. The low sinker. 0-1. Say right over the edge of the grass at the cut of the grass at third. It's bounced foul.
foul them quickly. Trout out in front 0-2. Easy say. Now with a 2-strike count, he will back up a little.
And that pitch was up. I don't know if Trout meant to get it there or not.
The 0-2 pitch to Gwynn. Oh, he got it on the outside corner. And Gwynn caught looking.
Well, that's what they get for complaining about the low strike. There was one. We'll get to see it again. Good pitch. Low around the knees, outside part of the plate. Looked like it was a little bit too far outside.
That's a tough call. That's a tough call right there. You take a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, which that was right there. That ball is a little bit questionable. You're going to have tough time swinging at that pitch. Already you've got the umpire setting a tone right here, and I'm sure that San Diego, wanting to come out swinging, is now going to go back to the dugout right now and set up a game plan. You see Tony Gwynn get called out on strikes. That doesn't happen too much to a man that hits 350. He only struck out 23 times in 1984.
Garvey to the hole. Boa sets, throws, and gets it. So the Padres are gone in the first inning. A good play by Boa. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the Cubs half. No score. Terry Kennedy, the catcher for the Padres, and prior to the game, I had a chance to talk and get the opposite side's feeling. We talked with Kennedy about the umpiring.
Yesterday, they talked about the strike zone being higher, and of course, you talked to the umpire. Did you talk to him about Shao and how he was going to throw? Today, you've got Mark Thurman, who's a low ball pitcher. He's got to have that low strike. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I told him what Eric had when he was warming up, and he gave me the comment. He says, I might miss a few, but you know, I'll do my best. And their best, that's fine. They're hustling and they're doing their best, but their best isn't what we need right now. We need the major league umpires back, and they're used to that college stuff, and they haven't seen these breaking balls that they're seeing now. And he missed a lot of breaking balls yesterday. And if he doesn't give Mark Thurman a low strike today, we're in trouble.
There's the Cub lineup that Thurman will be facing. Bob Dernier leading off in center field. Ryan Sandberg at second base. Gary Matthews hitting third and left with Keith Moreland in right field. Batting fourth, Ron Say will hit fifth and at third base. Jody Davis batting sixth and doing the catching. Leon Durham dropped in the lineup for the left-hander. Hitting seventh and at first base, Larry Boa, the shortstop. And Steve Trout, you've seen him already, the starting pitcher. There's the Padre defense of Garvey at first, Wiggins at central, Templeton at short. You'll have Salazar at third, Martinez in left, McReynolds in center, and Gwynn in right. And the battery of Kennedy and Thurman. Bob Dernier with a leadoff home run yesterday that kind of set the tone as far as the game was concerned. The Cub fans homered his first time at bat, just the second pitch of the ball game. As a matter of fact, he went 3 for 4, scored 3 runs.
He had a big day yesterday. You saw the umpire out to the mound talking to Mark Thurman. I think that the umpire's really going to have to watch this kind of pitcher. Mark Thurman has an awful lot of movement on his ball.
As Dernier takes a strike, and underway there, Earl.
In the scouting report on Thurman, just an average fastball. He has to pitch down, but a very good curveball. He has a slider. He cuts his fastball. But again, here's a fellow they'd say has to pitch below the belt.
I think that's true of all sinker ball pitchers, Earl. They've got to keep the ball down. They get the ball up, especially in a ballpark like this, they're going to have problems.
Yeah, but we saw Trout throw the ball over 90 miles an hour in the first inning.
High chopper, base hit left field. For Dernier with speed as a board. And look out, here comes the Cubs again. Well, this is what happened yesterday. You'll see in Major League records right there, most home runs, largest winning margin, National League records, highest batting average, most runs with 13, most hits 16, most runs in an inning 6. They had it all going for them. Here's Ryan Sandberg.
Well, with Dernier on first base, left-handed pitcher on the mound, he'll go if he gets the chance, but I think he'll be letting Sandberg swing rather than just go for the stolen base.
Dernier with 45 stolen bases on the year. Of course, a key possibly to watching Thurman will be that right shoulder, how he swings it in coming to the plate.
He does turn his shoulder, Don, and that will give a base running specialist like Bob Dernier an advantage. I'm sure that he knows that. I'm sure they've gone over it in the scouting report. I would not be surprised if you see some movement here on the baseball.
Well, I'll tell you what some of the Chicago coaches said, that his move is below average, and he's slow from his first move in his set position, releasing the ball to home plate. We'll see if that's true. That move there didn't look bad to me, Reggie.
Well, Earl, you get a lot of guys that try to protect themselves. They know they don't have a good move. They know that they've been scouted, and they know they want to run on them. So what they try to do is just, they can cut Bob Dernier down just a half step, and he feels he's got an advantage.
You see that Thurman is certainly aware of the speed of Dernier. We mentioned before, Bob with 45 stolen bases on the year.
And Dernier gave indications that he's going to go if he gets a shot.
The infield shortened up, double play depth. That's inside.
That's a pretty good bluff right there, huh?
2-0.
I was talking to some of the Padres today, and they thought that the tone of the game would be set quite early. They know that they're down. They got beat yesterday pretty good, but it seems to me as though the Cubs have come out, or the ones that have come out swinging so far.
You've got Sandberg ahead on the count, 2-0. If you're Jimmy Fry yourself, what are you thinking about?
Well, I never like to run 2-0 myself because it might be ball 3. I'd wait 2-1, 3-1.
The change a little high, and Thurman wanted it, so did Kennedy. Oh my, there's a big pitch right there. 2-1 to 3-0.
We get to see it one more time. Not high. The pitch is not high.
Not high at all. Well, the 3-0 pitch, that's in and over. And the count goes to 3-1.
And now, if Dernier can get a jump, he'll be on his way.
And very quickly goes to 3-2, and we'll keep an eye on Dernier. Of course, Nettles, we mentioned before, is out of the Padre lineup. He jammed his left hand on a pitch yesterday, so you've got Luis Salazar, and he is certainly a good one in himself. It doesn't look that Thurman has any kind of a tricky move over there. We haven't seen it yet.
That again, Don, is why he wants to let Bob Dernier know that he knows he's over there. Even if he doesn't have a great move, just let him know you're there.
Well, they had him. There was the better move.
Threw over there 5 times and saved a good move for the 6th one. Here we'll get it. It's going to look just like he's going to home plate. Finally, we saw Dernier 2 steps the wrong way, and he was lucky to get back.
That's a pretty good move right there for a guy that say he doesn't have a good move.
That's exactly right. Maybe he hasn't shown it to him all year.
Well, the count remains 3-2. Dernier with a little closer lead this time. He goes, and it's hit to Salazar at third on the big hop. On across to Garvey. Dernier all the way to third.
Hustling baseball.
This is what I call outstanding aggressive baseball. Chicago Cubs have come out swinging. You see Bob Dernier watching the third base coach, getting a look at the play all the time. He was going all the way. Had enough time to look ahead and see that he was going to be safe, could beat the play. The Cubs know, Chicago Cubs know, that Steve Garvey does not throw the ball well. He does not throw to second base well. He does not throw across the diamond well. Here you see a little hesitation, and with the speed of Bob Dernier, bingo.
Not a good throw at all.
And, of course, you've got a man over there at third base. He will run. A man coaching there, Don Zimmer, one of the finer third base coaches. He's a gambler, and that's, I think, what you have to have at times.
In fact, during late in the season, they practiced Alan Wiggins coming in to field the bunt and sacrifice situations and leaving Garvey back at first base.
Now, Gary Matthews, a big day yesterday with a pair of home runs.
Again, you talk about the tempo of the ball game. Here's a ball club coming in extremely emotionally high. The fans, the city, really up for this.
High chopper, Dernier will score. Templeton's got to hurry to get it. 1-0 Cubs.
Chalk that run up to Bobby Dernier and his aggressive base running.
They stole one.
That is a manufactured run.
That's what you call coming out and throwing jabs and not waiting to counterpunch. You are taking the offense. They are capitalizing on the emotional situation they have here in the city and with these fans here. It paid off right there. Great bit of baseball right there.
So with 2 outs, a run in. That'll bring on Keith Moreland, hitting .279, 16 home runs with 80 RBIs in the '84 season. This is inside the count, 1-0, with Ron Cey on deck. 1-0, the Cubs on top here in the bottom half of the first inning. On that inside corner, and the count goes to 1-1.
Moreland didn't like that one, I don't believe. It was a good pitch, and Thurman's made some good pitches already in this ball game.
Williams watching over in that Padre dugout. The count moves on to 2-1. Thurman, 28-year-old left-hander out of Houston, Texas. Down the left field line, and will go into the corner for extra bases. Martinez chasing it down. Moreland on his way for 2. He will be at second base with a stand-up double.
We get to see it. This is one of the bad pitches that Thurman's made. It was up just a little bit above the belt on the inside half of the plate, a line drive down the left field line. And the one thing about that, after Chicago played the outstanding baseball and stole a run, it became insignificant because they would have gotten it anyway.
Moreland stands at second base, holding up the 2, signifying the 2 outs.
Well, that's what I call hindsight being 20/20. Let me tell you something, pal. If there's a man on third base, you may not get that same pitch. While you can get that run, let's give that credit back to Bob Dernier and Gary
definitely.
Matthews.
He deserves the credit. And the big thing you said there is he wouldn't have gotten the same pitch if the score was still 0-0 and the man on third base.
There is a very interesting stat. They've won 31 of 34 home games in which they've scored in the first inning. And Ron Cey takes low.
You know, it seems funny, Don, you know, when you say a statistic like that, a lot of people say, oh, what does that mean? For some reason, those things just seem to come out that way. When you're ahead, you get on a roll, and I'm sure that that's important. I'm sure the Cubs know it.
Well, the Cubs have lost only one of their last home series during the regular season. Down low, the count 2-0.
It gives the pitcher something to work with. That means something when you're ahead in the early innings.
Now, a lot of people will sit back and say, well, how do you counteract that? How do you turn that around if you're the Padres and Dick Williams?
You've got to come out swinging just as they do.
That's right.
You've got to beat them at their own game.
Well, if they can get those leadoff men on San Diego, and they both hit the ball hard in yesterday's ball game, if they can get on, they can create some action themselves.
Unless it's a base hit, Earl, they don't pay off on hitting it hard.
Right.
Say what?
There's what you were talking about with that first base open and the man in scoring position, Reggie. He wasn't going to get careless and say anything.
He wasn't necessarily wild there, like you say. He's got a base open. He's going to get 2 men on and give himself a chance where he's give himself a chance to have a 4 shot at any base.
Say's one of the few guys that'll take those close pitches and let the guy behind him drive in the runs. There's a lot of power hitters that want to get it in themselves, and they get so anxious that they start swinging at those bad pitches.
That's where you've got to be a little more selective as Jody Davis stands in.
I will say amen to that, Earl.
Out of play, right side.
And I think very, very important right now here for the Padres to try to regroup themselves, to maintain, to stay in this ball game, try to get out of this inning with 1 run. There's a lot of pressure on Mark Thurman right now. Call it what you want, but the ball is in his court.
Good swing by Davis. Fouls it right straight back in the count 0-2. As we check the flags here at Wrigley Field this afternoon, the breeze coming out of the west as that it's blowing to right, but still a very warm, comfortable day. And when it's warm and comfortable in the friendly confines, look out. You got to be aware. That ball is still jumping well. Got him. Good high heat. So Davis is gone. The Cubs are gone. They come up with a run on a pair of hits, leave a pair after 1. The Cubs lead it 1-0.
Yesterday, with Eric Shaw pitching, a sinker baller for the Padres, the dirt was hard around home plate. Today, with Steve Trout of the Cubs pitching, the dirt is soft around home plate. Coincidence? I don't know, but I don't think you're going to see too many ground balls with Giddy up on it today. Now let's go back up to the booth to Don Drysdale.
All right, Timmy, thank you very much. Well, the man who sat back behind that plate for many years, and funny how little tricks of the trade will turn around and might be an advantage as Martinez leads it off.
Well, let me say this. There's one ball game this year where Steve Trout, in 27 outs, he had 23 ground balls.
Well, that's his key.
Is that coincidence or what?
Well, that's why I like those big guys that can hit 3-run homers. You never had to worry about that dirt around home plate.
Well, Kevin McReynolds with a count, 2 balls and no strikes. Martinez on deck. There's a bouncer to ball. Very big, convenient hop on across to Durham. That's 4 in a row. Well, look at those right there. The double play groundouts. Trout with 33 led the National League. Then LaPointe from the Cardinals. Cox from the Cardinals tied with Earl from the Mets. Well, that certainly means something right there. And right here, through an inning and a third, 3 of the 4 outs have been ground ball outs to Boa.
They're testing Boa.
Here's Martinez. Takes low, the count 1-0.
Second baseman never makes an error, so if they're going to hit it, they might as well try somebody other than him.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm not a Padre and can listen to this, because with all these stats and all this talk, I might as well throw in the towel now.
There's a chopper up the middle. That's going to be a base hit. So Martinez is aboard. Another ground ball.
And that's something you have no control over, where the ball goes.
I think that's all the manager says. Give me some ground balls. You can throw them, but you can't steer them. Dick Williams is a big advocate of ground ball outs.
Well, here it is. We see it. The ball is chopped right down in the dirt, so the dirt's not that soft. It got through the middle.
Boa was cheating a little to his right. Here's Kennedy, and that's high to left field. Matthews is there. Plenty of room. And there's 2 gone. 2 outs. Martinez at first, and here's Salazar. Salazar, during the season, hit .241, 3 home runs and 17 RBI. Now Dernier will move slightly into right center. Matthews straight away left, so they give Salazar the alley in left center.
Here we get a look at the last fly ball to left. Boa lost it completely, so they better get some ground balls, because it's going to be tough to see the ball in the air.
There's that good changeup by Trout, and very quickly the count is 0-2.
No, Don, we've talked about his changeup, and we've talked about his fastball and sinker. This man's also got a real good slider, almost a Guidry type.
2-strike pitch. Missing outside. And the count 1-2.
Well, that was a good changeup we saw.
Guidry's got that real hard slider that breaks down and into right-hand hitter.
Sparky Lyle.
Just a reminder for Martinez. The Cubs on top 1-0. If you might have just joined us, we're in the top half of the 2nd inning. Got it. Good sinker away. As Salazar is gone. No runs on a hit. We're through 1.5 from Wrigley Field. The Cubs lead it 1-0. Leon Durham to lead it off in the bottom of the 2nd, and earlier I had a chance to talk to the Cub first baseman.
Has there been a key to this ball club this year? Is there one thing that you can put your finger on?
Well, the way the ball club just stayed together as a team. We fought together. We got out there. We gave 110% together. And we get guys like Matthews and Drysdale and Larry Boyd, the veteran guys, they come in and did the type job that they did to, help experience some of the younger guys, and it really paid off for us.
Now Durham to lead it off in the bottom of the 2nd inning, foul back and out of play. He'll be followed by Larry Boyd, and then the pitcher, Steve Trout. The bottom 3 in the Cub order. Cubs on top 1-0. hard to the hole. Wiggins over from the grass. Throws to Getty. Good play by Alan Wiggins.
No, Don, that ball was hit right on the button there. Hit pretty good, but yesterday he grounded out 4 times to the second baseman.
Well, here we see Wiggins getting a real good jump on that hard hit ground ball. Got to his left in a hurry, knew he had him, took his time, and a good throw to first base.
Now there's one gone, and that'll bring on Larry Boa, the shortstop. Of course, a switch hitter, and he will turn around and hit from the right side and drills a base hit to left field. So Boa's aboard, a 1-out single. And it'll bring on the pitcher, Steve Trout. Here's a man not in the category of a Sutcliffe, but he handles the bat pretty well. You got to be alive with him.
But it's a left-hander against left-hander, and I'm suspecting sacrifice.
So is Dick Williams, because he has Salazar up on the grass at third. Garvey holding Boa at first. Trout turning as if to sacrifice already. Does so. Good bunt. Thurman off slowly. And will take the sure out at first with Boa moving to second.
There's a very good bunt right there. Got the job done.
On this play, we get to see the movement of the infielders. Here we got Garvey charging with Wiggins covering first base. Thurman fielded it, through. Now, it looks so easy to move that man down to second base, but believe me, it's not that easy all the time to sacrifice a man over.
And it might not have been that easy if Thurman would have bounced off of the mound when he sees Trout scoring around a bunt. He stayed right there, and then after the ball was on the ground, he moved. This is Dernier. He has singled and scored. 1 ball and no strikes with Boa at second base. Yes, sir, that's about the only thing that the Padres can do. They've got to get some men on. They've got to try and move their attack at the Cubs as fast as they can. High, the count 2-0. You start letting these things steamroll, and sometimes it's hard to stop them. Well, that's right out of your ordinary Cub fan digest.
I'll tell you one thing. If you hang around Chicago long enough, it gets to you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Thurman better not be too careful with this leadoff hitter with Sandberg up next. He's worked himself 3-0, and a guy behind him that can break the ball game wide open.
Well, the one thing about Bobby Dernier, he does not care what the count is, what the score is, or where the runners are. He will bunt at any time. And when you got, like you say, Earl, a man like Sandberg behind him, he just had another man on base. There's a strike in the count 3-1.
Thurman's got to come right after him on this 3-1 pitch.
Dernier with a base hit in his first time at bat. That gives him 3 in the series. Had a home run and a double yesterday. As I mentioned before, scored 3 times. He scored once already today. The only run of the ball game. Strike 2 call. Full count 3-2.
Real close, and it looks like Dernier's trying to get on for Sandberg. Get another look at the pitch.
I tell you, on this particular ball right here, I saw Kennedy snatch that one in right there. But to be very honest with you, you see a lot of hitters do that, Earl. You don't know whether he's doing it just to try to persuade the umpire or what. I'm sure that Bob Dernier may have been trying to deke me up there.
Fouled away over to Sandberg in that on-deck circle.
After it's all said and done, I thought the 3-1 pitch was a strike.
Okay.
And you're right about influencing the umpires, but with the Major League umpires behind there, they get mad at you sometime when you try to do that.
Hey, what, they'll take it and they'll make you remember it. I know that. 3-2 pitch. Boa dancing around.
Now we take a look right here at this umpire right here. He is squatting down behind that plate, getting down on one knee, just like a National League umpire, sitting on the inside where the catcher is. So he at least looks and sets up well, that's for sure.
And he walks it. So Dernier's aboard.
Slickenmeyer is his name. How'd you like to have an umpire back there by the name of Slickenmeyer?
I'd like to buy a car from him. Did you buy a car from a man that was slick?
Nope.
The Rick Williams down in that Padre dugout. The second walk issued by Thurman.
I don't think it's going to be long before we see a little action in that bullpen. I know that Dick Williams is not going to wait one moment too long. And here's a man at the plate who has done everything you can think of at the plate.
Ryne Sandberg, and that is outside. Turned it over a little. Kennedy.
You're right about the bullpen. Williams can't afford to do today what he did yesterday once it got out of hand to save anybody. He's got to come back.
Well, you've got Bo at second, Dernier at first. 2 outs, bottom of the second inning. The Cubs on top 1-0. And he misses outside again. Tried to turn it over a little bit. There's Bo at second, Dernier at first. So you've got speed on the bases.
Thurman is struggling right now. He's behind 2 balls and no strikes to a man who can put the bat on the ball, and I mean put it on hard.
Down low, and it's 3-0. You get an idea just watching Thurman right here. He's not free and easy. He's not turning it loose. He's aiming it.
And Sandberg swinging 3-0 here. If I had Sandberg, he'd be swinging 3-0. If I got Jackson, he'd be swinging 3-0 here.
Well, you may be swinging 3-0, Earl, but you've got to make sure that the ball's a strike. You've got to put it in a little box, or you've got to take it. That ball right there, if that ball was a strike on the inside part of the plate, whether it was or not, you've got to make sure that that ball is right down the middle, right in the sweet spot, almost a 6-inch box, if you can imagine it, or you've got to take the pitch.
That's what I mentioned before, Reggie, about hitters that are allowed to do that. They have to be very selective and know what they're doing. 3-1 pitch. He goes through the fastball, and it's 3-2. And now with 2 outs, the runners will be going.
Well, they said this fella couldn't pitch high, but he got a ball by Jody Davis up out the strike zone, and there was a 3-1 pitch he got by Sandberg up. 87 miles an hour.
Now the fans come alive. Full count, 3-2, 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Chicago. They go. High to left. Moving back at Martinez to the wall. The wind's got it. Here's McReynolds for the catch. The breeze brought it over, and it is turned around at the friendly confines. We're through 2. 1-0 Chicago. Beautiful shot from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise from Pompano Beach, Florida. The pilot is Captain Don Plaskonak from Randolph, Ohio. Our cameraman up there, Charlie Mitchell. Boy, that's just a beautiful shot. And indeed, we mentioned, Earl, remember yesterday coming out in the ballpark, if you stay here in this park long enough or over on the south side at Comiskey Park, that breeze can turn around at any time. And indeed it has, as Templeton shoots it to the right side. Right there is Sandberg to throw him out.
When we came to the park early this morning, it was blowing from the left field line to the right field line. Since game time, the wind has turned around and it's blowing in, and you can bet Sandberg's ball would have been out of the ball. The third out of the last inning would have been out of the ballpark yesterday.
It might have been out of the ballpark 3 hours ago, bro.
That's right. Here's Mark Thurman, the pitcher. It's just dropped on top of the roofs on the small flag, but if you look at Old Glory high atop the mast in center field on the scoreboard, it's coming right straight in very gently as Thurman fouls that away, a 190 hitter on the year with 4 RBIs. Right there since July 10th of 1983, no home runs. There's a little looper to left coming on Matthews. He's got to play it on a hop. So Thurman helps his own cause. And just a reminder, don't forget game number 2 of the American League Championship Series coming up from Royal Stadium. The Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern time. What do you think, Reg? You see the game last night?
Yes, I did. I liked the ball game. Jack Morris rose to the occasion.
He did.
Definitely did. He pitched a great game.
The Tigers showed their bench, too. They just keep coming out of there. They've got a good ball game.
Bounce to Boa. Should be 2. Sandberg for 1. Back to first. They double Wiggins up. And the Padres are gone very quickly in the third. Another ground ball after 2.5. 1-0 Chicago.
Yesterday in the American League Championship Series, Morris took them apart. Trammell took them downtown. Tigers 8, Royals 1. KC battles back tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC.
Well, Gary Matthews to lead it off in the bottom of the third. Yesterday supplied so much offense for these Cubs, but last year in a Phillies uniform, Game 4 of the World Series with Baltimore, it was the glove that turned a trick. Made a leaping catch at the left field wall to deprive John Shelby of a 3-run double. Now that man, look at that. That fence is going to give a little bit with the Sarge, Reggie.
It's trivia time down Drysdale, 1968. #1 pick at San Fernando High, Gary Matthews. His coach had him talk to a friend about how much money he should get to sign. Name that friend.
San Fernando High Valley boy, huh?
That friend's name was Don Drysdale. Did you talk to him about signing?
I remember Gary going to San Fernando High School. I sure do. And he stands in right here. There's the strike in the count 0-1.
Watching those catches and knowing what Matthews did yesterday, he's a guy that can rise to the occasion. He might be a Mr. October, huh?
Exactly, Earl. Here's a man that is an emotional ball player. He gets up for ball games. He led this ball club down the stretch. He is living up to his name, Sarge, because he takes charge.
The 0-2 pitch to Matthews. Just slowing away. The count 1-2.
He keeps going like he's been going. They'll change it and make him a full bird colonel, huh?
Boy, that is true. Matthews bounced it short his first time at bat, 0 for 1 today. Remember, I got a call from his high school coach, Howard Marcus. He was a good player.
Did you tell him to get what he can get?
Get what you can get.
Get what you can get.
And stay as healthy as long as you can. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Matthews with Keith Moreland on deck. Line shot. Good play by Templeton. Up and gets him.
What a difference a day makes. Yesterday they were hitting them on the end of the bat, breaking bats, and they were finding holes. Today, the ball's hit like a rocket. Templeton just in reach and fine play. And a good throw to first base.
Earl, he's always had great range. The thing they said about Gary Templeton, he hammers that ball. The thing they said about Gary Templeton is he didn't have good control of his arm. That's a perfect throw and a great play.
Here's Moreland. Double down to the left field corner his first time at bat. See Keith 2 for 4 in this championship series. On deck, the veteran Ron Say.
San Diego couldn't buy a break yesterday.
4 for 6 against Thurman lifetime. Just off the corner, and the count 2-0. Infield straight away for Moreland. The outfield the same. On that corner, the count moves to 2-1. Appears that home plate umpire Dave Schlickenmeyer, he's got a little bit of a pattern. He's been fairly consistent, I think.
I would say so as well. The players will let you know. If you see the hitters turning around and looking at the umpire, you see the pitcher looking in there for a second look. They'll tell you how well the umpire is calling the ball game. And it looks like this man is doing a heck of a job.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
3 balls and a strike to Moreland. Right side and through. Base hit right field. And Moreland will do that. We said that yesterday.
That is the way you have to swing a bat against a sinker ball pitcher. You have to take the ball the other way. They're going to try to sink the ball down and away from you. As we see Keith Moreland at the plate, that ball is outside, it is down, and we see Keith stay with the ball and hit that ball to right field and sharp.
That'll bring on Ron Say, and just an added note on the home plate umpire Dave Schlickenmeyer. He was a professional minor league umpire for 6 years, worked in the Texas League, is affiliated with the Midwest Umpire Training School. 1 ball and no strikes to Say.
That's what sinker ballers try to do. They try to get you to pull a ball. A la Tommy John, they try to get you to pull that ball, to overswing and get you to hit ground balls. You've got to take the ball the other way to have success against a sinker ball.
I want to ask you a question, Reg. How many times with the count 3-1 did you try to go to the opposite field?
The only time I went to the opposite field, Earl, is when I was facing a guy like Nolan Ryan and I was just swinging late.
But at 3-1, you were going to look for a pitch you could
A
drive.
ball I could hit over the fence.
There's the strike to say, and the count goes to 2-1. Moreland at first, Garvey holding. One out, infield set for two, the outfield about straight away. Don't forget, these two clubs will meet again tomorrow night in Game 3. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And the scene will go to San Diego. That's hit hard to the alley, left center. Martinez over, and it'll go off of the wall. Glow picking it up, and Zimmer's going to wave him on around. The relay to Wiggins. The throw to the plate by Kennedy. Run scores. Over to third is Say. 2-0. Chicago.
Here's the ball hit right on the button here in the alley, Earl. It almost looked like that ball yesterday might have been a home run. We see Carmelo Martinez with a little problem picking that ball up. He turns around, still a chance at home plate, but a bad hop, a bad bounce, and he's safe.
We get Martinez chasing the ball again. He's in the gap. It hangs on the ivy just a minute. He had to wait for it, but there was plenty of time to throw Moreland out at home plate, and Templeton made a good throw. As the ball got into home plate, it just hit on the edge of that grass and skipped by Kennedy. Another break for the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, it was, Earl, and it actually short-hopped him. It skidded off of that grass. And a good throw, if it was out 15 more feet onto the grass, a good throw where Kennedy could have handled it, he would have thrown him out.
It really was a pretty good throw. It just took a funny hop.
Yep.
The way the Chicago Cubs are going right now, they're getting the hops. They've got a ball going.
One more throw on the angle coming in. We can see it very well. Right close to Kennedy and goes right by him. He had no chance. And again, we have to say that Chicago is getting all the breaks right now.
Now the Padres will bring the infield in. Jody Davis a hitter. Say standing at third. So they give Say a double high to center field. That will score the run. McReynolds is back. He is there. Say tags the catch. Here comes Say. He'll score. 3-0 Chicago.
Again, I have to say what a funny game baseball is. If Carmelo Martinez in left would have juggled the ball, if Templeton would have decided not to throw home, Say's on second base and the third run don't score. They did everything right and still wound up losers.
Now the bullpen will get active for the San Diego Padres.
Well, you knew that wasn't going to take long.
No, not at all. You said that before.
They've got to pull out all stops today.
Andy Hawkins will get up. He'll start to throw as Durham has the first pitch outside, 1-0. Well, there's a case. You've got a sinker ball pitcher with the infield in. You want to keep the ball down, and he got it up to Davis. And able him to hit the fly ball.
Yeah, if he struck Davis out on a fastball up out of the strike zone the time before, but this one was in the strike zone, and Davis could catch up with it.
1 ball and 1 strike to count. So credit Say with a double if you might be scoring with us. He went to third on the throw. There was no error on the play. On that inside corner. There's Fran Say.
Smile of victory. A happy smile.
And the Penguin down in the dugout. He knows there's still a lot more work ahead. 3-0. The Cubs on top, bottom of the third. High to the left side, going out Salazar and calling. And that'll be out number 3. But the Cubs come up with 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and they leave nobody. And after 3 complete from Wrigley Field, 3-0 Chicago. Now, Tony Gwynn, the National League batting champion, to lead it off prior to the game, I asked him, how did it all fall into place?
A lot of young players would like to know your secret. How did it all fall into place?
Well, you know, I think it really fell into place for me at San Diego State. You know, at the time I was using a big bat, and you know, I was fairly successful, but you know, the bat broke one day. Aluminum bat broke one day, and I was looking through our equipment room and found a little bat that, you know, I really felt comfortable with, and from that point on, I think I started hitting the ball a lot better and a lot more consistently, and from there on, everything has been virtually the same. I've hit the ball solid in every level, and now to do it in the big leagues, it's like a dream come true for me.
And yes, sir, with that .351 batting average, that led all the major leagues. Next pitch was fouled up the first base side, though the count 0-1 to Tony Gwynn. Takes low, the count 1-1.
Leading the National League in hitting, you know, sometimes this fellow's defense is overlooked. He only has an average arm, but with that speed he has, he gets to the ball in the alleys. He gets to the ball in a hurry, he gets rid of the ball in a hurry, and he saves a lot of extra bases.
Out of play, left side. That'll be back up over to our left, and the count moves on to 1-2.
No, Don, as I look at this Tony Gwynn, I was looking at his bat earlier today around the batting cage. He used a 32.5-inch bat and only 31 ounces. That's almost unbelievable.
That's down the left field line. That's going to drop for a base hit and maybe more. Matthews over now, rounds it off and drops the ball. Gwynn to second, and he makes a turn. He'll hold right there with a double. There's Alicia Gwynn. So that's about the first time she's had a chance to cheer in this series.
Well, you really knew that wasn't going to last very long. This man hit the ball on the nose 3 times yesterday, and I mean hard, all line drives. The same way he hit that ball, except there's no one there this time. It's a double. Gary has a little trouble. Really doesn't matter because it's a double anyway.
So that'll bring on Steve Garvey, who bounced ashore his first time at bat.
And that's what I was talking about the Cubs' third run. If Carmelo Martinez would have did that in the outfield, there wouldn't have been a play at home plate. Say would have had a hold up at second base, and there wouldn't have been a sacrifice fly.
And there would have been a 2-0 ball game instead of 3-0. There's a change to Garvey, high and away, 1-0 the count. But the Padres have got to get something on the board.
Exactly. Something's got to happen right now, Don. I'm sure that Steve Garvey is thinking base hit. However, I'm sure he's thinking base hit to right field, because at worst, if he misses with the base hit, he advances the runner.
Right side, off of the glove of Durham. They still got a shot. They get him. What a play by Durham. And a gamble.
And again, the ball bounced in the right direction for the Chicago Cubs. That ball could have went anywhere off of Durham's glove, but it came down right in front of him.
Again, you saw Garvey right there go the other way. He hit the ball hard. Durham has a problem with the ball. He stays with it. Picks it up, still has an ice cream cone. Wants to flip it, but stays there and out-hustles Steve Garvey. That time, we saw the umpire right on top of the plate.
Yes, sir. So Gwynn moves to third, and that brings on Kevin McReynolds. Pop, right side and foul.
As they say in the major leagues, what Steve Garvey just did right there is a good miss. Did not get a base hit, but he advances the runner in the scoring position.
Inside, the count 1-1. Well, the ball actually, the way Durham played it, he played it on that got it on the in-between hop. He was lucky to keep that ball where he could pick it up.
There's no doubt about it. They've been the Cubs have been getting all the hops. They're playing back now with a 3-run lead. They can stay away from the big inning. The infield is back.
While Davis and Trout have a chat, a reminder, the National League Championship Series, an ABC Sports exclusive, is being brought to you by Bud Light. The best has a taste all its own, satisfying but never filling. So a little chat with Davis and Trout, just getting their thoughts together. Sutcliffe down in the dugout, the winner of yesterday's ball game.
Davis could be saying, look, that last pitch was up. He could be saying, look, we've got a 3-1 lead. Let's don't change our patterns. If they hit the ground ball, we'll give them one, but let's get some outs here.
Missing away, and the count 2-1.
Not pulling for either team, but you almost want to wonder when things are going to turn around. The Padres start getting a few breaks.
That's outside, and the count 3-1. So Trout kind of overthrowing, and Davis is going to go out and tell him again.
That pitch was 95 miles an hour, and he is obviously overthrown. He threw the ball that hard in the American League. His control wasn't nearly as good as it has been with the Chicago Cubs this year, when he used to rear back and throw like that.
Earl, you can't throw that hard and sink the ball. You know that.
That's hard to left. Matthews going back. He's there. Makes a catch. Tagging his Gwynn. The Padres finally get on the board. It's a 3-1 Chicago lead.
Again, there's another ball hit right on the button. And the Cubs really wound up the winner on that one.
Yes, they did.
He gets that ball up, it's a home run. If he gets it in the alley, it's a double.
Well, the thing is, when you throw that hard and you're a sinker baller, you better keep the ball down. unless you're going to cross-seam it and ride it high.
We get to see it again. It was a high fastball. He overthrew it. A shot to Matthews out in left field.
Here's Martinez. He takes a strike down and away, and the count is 0-1. Not too happy with that call.
If Trout's going to throw the ball like that, he's got to set up the hitter with the sinker and with that slider and with that curveball, and then pick his spot on a 1-2 pitch, 0-2 pitch, and try to get the ball up around the letters and on the hands.
I agree with you, Earl.
There it was again.
Although, really, here's a man who's pitched with a sinker all year long. You don't want to come into a game like this and change your pattern. You want to stick with what you had success with.
Just outside, maybe a little low, and the count 2-1. Well, the thing with Steve, and watching him through the years, when he gets into that pattern wild outside, it's where he's overthrowing just like that, and his body flies on him, and his arm trails. And then after that, it's just a slingshot effect trying to catch up with himself.
He becomes a thrower instead of a pitcher.
Very well said, Don. What you do is just wind up rushing yourself, and nothing catches up.
3-1 pitch. Off the end of the bat up the middle. Boa right there. On to Durham, and the side retired. But the Padres get on the board with a run on a hit. No errors. They leave nobody. We go to the bottom of the fourth with the Cubs leading the Padres 3-1. Well, the fans lucky that it's good weather, because last night they had a lot of them sleeping outside the ballpark here at Wrigley Field, hoping to pick up a ticket or two that might be available come this afternoon. Boy, I'll tell you, that is a loyal fan this year. The first time over 2 million in the second smallest seating capacity in the major leagues, 37,275, as Larry Boa will lead it off as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Takes a strike in the count 0-1.
You know, with that base hit last time up, Larry Boa may surprise people because he only hit 223 this year. But right-handed, he's a 287 hitter.
Larry Boa has much more power from the right side. There's Salazar on the in-between hop to get him. One away, and that'll bring on Trout. Well, a reminder, don't forget exciting CFA football on ABC. That'll continue this Saturday with top 10 powers colliding. You'll see either the Nebraska Cornhuskers facing the unbeaten 4-0 Oklahoma State Cowboys, or the battle of SEC rivals Georgia and Alabama. And a week from this Saturday, the #1 ranked Texas Longhorns battle the #3 Oklahoma Sooners, and the games will be seen live right here on ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time. This is live, and somebody's got to tell him the tickets are gone.
No, he's waiting. He's waiting for a ticket to the World Series.
Templeton off of the glove, and Trout's aboard.
That guy out there used to be a great home run hitter. He just struck out a few too many times.
He's waiting for a ticket for the World Series. He's not going to leave.
Well, look at it again, guys.
This ball's hit pretty good. Got both pitchers with a base hit now.
Well, that'll be a base hit for Trout. Well, as the game goes along, we'll show you. Talk about the loyal fans here at Wrigley Field, and I would have to say that we will take you outside of Wrigley Field for some of the shots. We've got fans in trees. There's Bobby Vinton sang the national anthem here this afternoon, and as usual, a great job. There's Hawkins again for the Padres as the leadoff hitter Dernier stands in. 1-0 the count. They've got fans up in the trees watching these
on
games.
rooftops. They've got them all over. I always wonder if there's some kind of ordinance where you're not allowed to put but so many people on top of a roof.
We went over the court case yesterday.
That's right. They had that yesterday. The judge ruled that half to the owner and half to the tenants. 1 ball and 1 strike to Dernier. He has singled and scored in the first. He walked in the second. Time call. Ball getting away in the Padre bullpen.
Oh, that'll break a little tension right now.
It could. Right now, let's take a look and see if we can pick up some of those fans out in the trees in left field, over right down the line and over the wall. That's amazing. And we saw that a little while ago. We'll pick that up a little bit. Look at that.
Is that a bird's eye view?
That is camouflage and concealment right there.
That was a good one, Reggie. I like that.
Off the end of the bat by Salazar. Templeton gets the sure man at second, and Trout, Dernier, too much speed to try and double him up. 2 gone. Now we'll keep an eye on Dernier with 2 outs and Sandberg at the plate.
He's got the green light all the way here. All he needs is a jump, and he'll be on his way.
No, right now for the Padres, Mark Thurman throwing the ball pretty good, keeping the Padres close. If he can shut the Cubs down just a couple of more innings here and give his team a chance to catch on, to get something going, the Padres are going to get right back in this thing. Very important what's happening right now in order for Mark Thurman just to stay on top of this game and not let it get away from him.
We're in the National League, Reggie, and there's going to be a pinch hit situation here where Dick Williams will have to make one of those decisions you don't have to make in the American League.
That's right.
And Thurman, as we look at the 5th inning, he is the 4th hitter. That is what Dick Williams is thinking about right now.
If they have a man on, I'm sure we'll see a pinch hitter, Don.
Right. Ryan Sandberg 0 for 2. Takes that pitch for the strike. And the count is 0-1. The breeze now has turned around and is blowing in a little from right as we look at the flags high atop the mast over the scoreboard in deep center field. There you see Old Glory. Sandberg applied to the center fielder McReynolds his last time at bat. And fortunately for the Padres at that time, the breeze had turned around. Oh, he started to go again.
That was the good move. He had just given him the fake move.
I want to see that scouting report that says that he doesn't have a very good move. I don't think I'd pay attention to that one.
0-1 the count. The story, 3-1, 2 outs, bottom of the 4th inning. The Cubs got a run in the 1st, 2 in the 3rd. There goes Dernier. Kennedy can't hold on to the ball. Dernier with a stolen base.
Not a bad pitch to throw a base runner out on.
Not at all. The pitch is right up where he
Here's a ball that's up and away. And Terry Kennedy should have made this play. He just couldn't find a handle on it. There you see no bluff by the batter. Terry just does not handle the ball, but that's a ball we should have had a real good chance to throw the base runner out. He just didn't do it. He just dropped the baseball.
A ball and a strike to Sandberg. Change it hard, hooking down in the left field corner. It's fair. It is trouble. It is a fair ball and a double. That'll score Dernier. Sandberg to second with a double. 4-1 Chicago.
And that's what Sandberg's been doing all year. 2 out, a man on second base. When you need the base hit, he's been able to give it to him.
Well, those are big base hits, Earl, as you know. Just get a 2-out double, driving a run with a man on base.
Pitch above the belt. Sandberg knew what he wanted to do with it, and he did it. It was just there.
Those are situations that turn ball games around with 2 outs.
Well, there's a case of what you were just talking about a while ago. Dick Williams now has to go to the bullpen, which he didn't want to do. So Hawkins will come on. We have a break in the action. The Cubs pick up a run. They lead it 4-1.
Well, Andy Hawkins is the new pitcher for the San Diego Padres. The problem is Dick Williams wanted to use his bullpen, but not exactly in this fashion. He really hasn't had a chance to get to Craig Lefferts or to Goose Gossage, a key if the Padres expect to win. Now let's go back up to the booth to Don Drysdale.
All right, Jimmy, thank you very much. And I'm sure he didn't want Hopkins to have to come in this order because he might have to get somebody loose should they get something going in the 5th inning. As you look at Thurman in the dugout as Gary Matthews stands in, he was hoping he could get out number 3 and take his chances from there, I believe. Don't you, Earl?
Yes, I do. I know that's true. Now, we have a fellow on the mound here who throws the ball 90 miles an hour, a fellow Williams would have liked to use later. Doesn't have much of a curveball. He's got a good slider. The rap against him is he tries to be too fine.
This is up high. The count 1-0. Matthews has bounced it short twice. So you've got Sandberg at second to run in. And the Cubs on top 4-1. We're in the bottom of the 4th.
Gary Matthews, another fellow at the plate, can get you that 2-out hit with a man in scoring position.
2-0, and don't think this man is not a cripple hitter.
He's got 19 game-winning hits.
Yes, sir. And and he's up on the count 2-0.
Well, right now he'll be looking for a ball to drive. This is with the situation that hitters love. Swinging for pay dirt.
Well, there was strength against strength there.
I felt that breeze up here. 2-1 the count.
There's a good full cut. You see it close up, but he was going for it right there.
That's when somebody in your dugout will yell at you, unbutton that top button and take a good swing now.
Well, everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah. A little bit low. The count goes to 3-1 with Keith Moreland on deck. That's not Euchre, I know that.
He got it off in a hurry.
Up high.
Hawkins is going to have to challenge somebody.
He's got to go after him right now, like you say, Earl, because right now, again, I know I keep saying it, but the Padres have to stop this emotional game right now that the Cubs are playing. They're doing exceptionally well.
Right there, since the All-Star break, and all three of those men are coming up, Moreland, Say, and Davis.
They've got to shut them off right now, or it does not look good for the Padres for sure.
The strike to Moreland. And we'll be coming your way once again tomorrow night. Game number 3 from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. High to right. Up in the breeze. Wynn is there. Out number 3. So they get out of the inning cheaply enough. They pick up a run on 2 hits, and we're through 4 from Wrigley Field. It is 4-1. The Cubs on top. Well, you see one of the gentlemen in the scoreboard here at Wrigley Field. That's the only manually operated one in the majors, built in 1937. There's only one entrance. There's 3 levels. There you see the flags on top that'll tell you which way the wind's blowing. It's blowing in. The scores, they get them via the ticker tape machine. They go inning by inning. Of all the games, of course, there's only one right here that they're interested in. The scoreboard numbers are all metal. There's Roger O'Connor out there, Art Sigel, Sam Bongiorno. And together they have more than 60 years experience in that scoreboard as Terry Kennedy takes a strike. 0-1 the count.
And getting back to that scoreboard, you remember when the visiting teams used to think that they caught catcher signs from out there?
Yes, sir. You know, they used to have 2 cameras in that little shed out there. One was for the home telecast. One's for a videotape machine that they used to have set up, that little house out there where we have our camera situated. But they used to have the one camera went to the videotape machine to where they could take it from the hitters at home plate. That was an in-house camera, and they could sit there and see all the signs.
Closed circuit, get the signs.
That's the left field, slicing away from Matthews to the line to make the catch. Look out, Gary.
It seems like every fly ball is a battle out there for Gary Matthews, but believe me, he hauls them all down. There you see him taking a beat on it, not taking his eye off it for 1 second. He doesn't care where he ends up. I've got the out, and that's all he cares about.
Right up against the wall.
Well, the big thing about that ball coming off of the bat of the left-hand hitter, it's going to be slicing on you anyway. The wind's blowing that way. That's going to take it even further away from you. As Salazar takes a strike.
And you run out of foul territory.
That's right.
Into the wall in this ballpark.
Well, we saw what Gary could do. We saw that little clip a while ago in that World Series last year against Baltimore. That's the right field. That should take Moreland to the line. Now he'll come in. 2 gone.
First time this ball game there's been back-to-back fly balls off of Trout.
There's Dravecki in the bullpen as Dick Williams thinking about the next man, the next spot. That is the pitcher spot. This is Templeton, bounced to second. His first time at bat, 1 ball and no strikes, 2 for 4 in the series. Right side, easy play play for Sandberg. Another ground ball out. And this time retired easily. 1-2-3. So we're halfway through. 4-1 Chicago. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station. Ron Say will lead it off, and earlier I talked to him about the ballpark. It can be friendly. The fans can be friendly.
The difference hitting in Wrigley Field as compared to Dodger Stadium.
Well, here it's a Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know if the wind's going to be blowing in, across, or out. Plus, the weather can change here with the summer thunder showers that we get. You don't know if it's going to be sunny or cloudy. So you just have to come out here every day and hope that none of that stuff's going to bother you. I think the first year here, most of the time you spent contemplating what the weather was going to be like instead of concentrating on the game. But I think we've got people who can separate those things down.
And that man right there can certainly do that. 1 for 1 this afternoon. He's walked and doubled. Of course, the thing about Wrigley Field, the distance down the lines is one of the longest in the major leagues, and the power alley's one of the shortest. Of course, that's what power hitters like. That's a little bit low, and the count 2-0.
I know a few that wouldn't mind hitting here.
Oh. See the indentation in the ivy right there? That's where it starts to come back in. It's only 368 to the power alley and 400 to straightaway center field. But down the left field line, it's 355, and down the right field line, it's 353.
Well, I now think we may have had a little complaint on our ball strike call here.
Yeah,
I don't think Russ liked that call, Don.
The pitch was close. Get to see it one more time. Say's going to look for a pitch he can drive out here. 2 balls and no strikes. It wasn't where he wanted it, but the pitch was inside. Yes, Say was right.
Had another good pitch and fouled it back.
How'd you feel about hitting with the wind blowing in and the wind blowing out, Reggie?
I did not like the wind blowing in. I know one of the first things I did, if we take a look at Jim Fry, one of the first things I did when I woke up in the morning, whenever I was on the road in the hotel or at home, I wanted to look outside and see which way the flag was blowing, and see what kind of attitude I was going to have when I got to the ballpark.
I never thought I'd hear you say that.
You were a pretty good hitter. How'd you feel?
Well, I'll tell you, I had pretty good success in this ballpark right here. You just had to do what I said yesterday, Earl. You had to keep the ball down. This was a good ballpark. It was a good ballpark to pitch in and also to hit in. A full count, 3-2. But I'll tell you, I'm like any hitter, Earl. I'd rather have the wind blowing out.
Makes you feel 100 pounds stronger.
That's it.
True, it sure does.
People used to scream and holler, they still do, about Candlestick Park in San Francisco, but I always felt, I said, if the hitters yell that much about it, there must be something wrong that gets them in the wrong frame of mind. I like it. High. Garvey over, foul territory, fighting the wind, and Steve stays with it. 1 away. Former teammate to another. Well, the funny thing about, just a little history about this ballpark, and it is such a quaint ballpark. It was built in 1914 with a capacity of 14,000. It was then known as Wigham Park, and it was then the home of the Chicago Whales of the old Federal League. And the cost of building the park was estimated at about $250,000. And at one time, they had like 450 men working on the project. That pitch is inside to Jody Davis. But the first national game wasn't played at Wigham Park until 1916 when the Federal League disbanded and the Cubs moved over here from the West Side ground. That's a strike in the count 1-1. Then the park was officially changed to Wrigley Field in 1926 in honor of William Wrigley Jr., the club's owner. And renovations in the 20s and 30s increased the park to 37,000 plus. But it's really a fun ballpark.
Yes, it is. But, they could build some seats out there in left field and in the right field, over the left field fence and over the right field fence. They could put some more seats in.
Yes. Well, they've talked about lights in that here at Wrigley Field. But I'll tell you, there's an interesting story about that, and I'll tell you that just prior to the next hitter. The 3-1 pitch to Davis. Pops it up. The Breeze will get that. I'll tell you about that right now. Night baseball in the majors in 1935, that was at Crosley Field in Cincinnati. and really this is true, believe it or not, Wrigley Field almost had lights. But in 1941, owner Philip K. Wrigley, he bought the equipment, the bulbs, the towers, the wiring, and so on, but he sent it to the naval shipyards after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Unbelievable.
High left field, but it's in the breeze, knocking it down, and there is Martinez. There, what a difference a day makes.
I would say, you know, that's the first ball that I could say, obviously, yesterday would have been a home run, and it's not a home run today.
I think Sandberg's would have been out yesterday.
You think so?
Yes, I feel that way.
That ball there was pretty obvious to me, Earl, because it was way up high. That's one I would know for sure.
Well, here's Leon Durham. You see 1 for 7 in the series, but I think that's very interesting about all the hoopla that's going on about the lights at Wrigley Field, and it might have been, had it not been for Pearl Harbor.
Got a great ballpark here and some great fans, and just the charisma of it all, it's something you just can't replace.
Well, if the Cubs should get in the World Series, I think it's a shame that there's not lights, because when I was a kid, and the World Series started 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I was in school. I never got to see them, and it's going to be the same thing when they play their games in Chicago now during the World Series. The working man will not get to see all of the World Series games.
2 balls and a strike to Durham. There is Salazar, the Garvey, and a 3-up, 3-down inning. So through 5 here at Wrigley Field, it's 4-1, and the Cubs are on top. Well, yesterday, I think the baseball world was saddened. Everybody was saddened by the passing of former Dodger manager Walter Alston, and I, for one, had a chance to play with Walt my entire career for 14 years, and I think that I can speak on behalf of every player that ever played for Walt. And to Leela, his wife, and his family, our deepest sympathy, and our thoughts are with you at this particular time, and we just want to know he was a great man, and it was our privilege to be part of Walter Alston and the Los Angeles and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And also, the passing, we understand this afternoon, or yesterday, I should say, of a former great Billy Goodman. And our thoughts also to Billy's family down in Sarasota. 2 great men, and baseball has lost them both. The 0-1 count, check that, the 1-1 count now to that is Ramirez leading it off. Mario Ramirez hitting 119.
We just saw Williams give the umpire a little something on that pitch.
Foul right side.
I don't want to sound like I keep beating the drum, Don and Earl, but it's got to be important here now. The Padres have got to get some offense going. They've got to get some momentum going. They've only got 3 base hits today.
And yesterday they only had 6.
Whether you call it good pitching or no offense, whatever you want to call it, it's got to happen for the Padres sooner or later.
Well, they're going to have to make it happen.
Bouncer third base side. Say right there from the grass to get him. One gone, and that will bring on Alan Wiggins, the leadoff hitter. Well, it's funny how things and how the tide can change. I can think back 2 very good instances in 1966 in the World Series with the Baltimore Orioles. We went in there, they had a young pitching staff, and we could not buy a run. We didn't hit nothing. As Wiggins takes a strike and the count 1-1. Then I can think back the year prior in the World Series. In 1965, we went into Minnesota. We got beat the first 2 games, and all we wanted to do was get back home. And we got back home, and we won the next 3 in the series. Eventually won the series, but we just never got anything going against Baltimore. They swept us 4.
And in 1969, when I was managing Baltimore, we had an outstanding hitting ball club, and yet the Mets shut us down. We couldn't get anything going.
You know, Don, you get back here again, Alan Wiggins, 2 balls and a strike. He has not been on base yet. He scored 106 runs for the Padres. If he doesn't get on, they're not going to score.
Alan Wiggins is definitely a catalyst on this ball club. When he gets on, he can make things happen. And as you say, Reggie, they have shut him down. He was 0 for 4 yesterday with a double play, and 0 for 2 this afternoon with a double play. Blowing in, the count 0-3. 3-2.
What a beautiful changeup that was, even though it missed.
So Dick Williams has always had his lineup surrounded by guys with speed. Bert Campaneris and Billy North in Oakland, Tim Raines and Rodney Scott in Montreal. Here he's got Wiggins and Gwynn, and only one of them have been on base in just one time.
And he walks him. So Wiggins, his first time on base in the series, and we'll see if that might start something.
Well, they're 3 runs down, but I know Dick Williams. He's not afraid to take a chance. Just to get something started.
That's about it. Well, it's an awfully nice luxury when you go out there, as Sutcliffe did yesterday, and Trout has done so far here today. He scattered 3 hits, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and never have to work out of a stretch.
No, very interesting question I want to ask you, Earl. Right now, you know, you want to maybe play it safe for a run because you haven't been scoring, or do you want to do something different and just try to be aggressive and steal a base? What do you do?
Well, I'm not Dick Williams, but I know Dick Williams, and I know that Dick will do it. Myself, I hadn't had a Wiggins on a club. I didn't never have a guy that stole 70 bases. Bumbley, maybe I'd let him go. Paul Blair, possibly, because their base stealing percentage was good, but the percentage has to be in your favor.
So in other words, even though you haven't been scoring, you don't mind still being aggressive.
Right.
Chopper, Durham, look at that play. The bounces are still going to the Cubs.
Here we get it. A ball bounced down in that soft dirt that we called it earlier. Durham at the top of the top, as high as he can get. The stretch.
Exactly. You know, Earl, if that ball's on AstroTurf, that's a double or a triple?
Yes.
If that ball's on hard ground, that's a double.
Oh, I'll tell you, that was as high indeed as Leon Durham could get up the ladder. So Wiggins goes to second, and Steve Garvey will stand in. Durham has made 2 fine plays down there at first base this afternoon. One on the man standing at the plate in Garvey in the last time at bat. And that play right there off of the bat of Gwynn. Hard to left. That will drive in a run. Matthews almost handcuffed. Wiggins will score on the base hit by Garvey. It's a 4-2 ball game. And the Padre bench comes to life a little bit.
Well, they're back in the ball game.
Where you see one of the old pros never giving up. There's the pitch from Trout. There's a fastball down and out over the middle of the plate.
And I'll
Garvey
tell you,
does with it what you're supposed to.
Matthews did exactly right there. We can see him. He started to charge the ball, then he decided, let's keep that runner on first base. He backed up, played it on a big hop like he should, and kept the man from going in scoring position in case it went by.
McReynolds to say the first to Sandberg, and Garvey's out at second. The side retired, but the Padres get a run closer. They pick up a run on a hit. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning of play. 4-2, the Cubs on top.
IBM presents You Make the Call. A batter is about to tap a weak ground ball in front of the plate, but after he leaves the batter's box, he's accidentally hit by the ball. Is the batter out? You make the call. Once the batter leaves the batter's box, he's out if his fair ball touches him, even if it is by accident. So if you said the batter was out, then you made the right call.
On CFA College Football, the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers clash with unbeaten Oklahoma State, or Georgia tackles Alabama, Saturday live at 3:30 on ABC.
Well, if you've wondered what it's like inside of a manually operated scoreboard, our colleague Tim McCarver's in there. And Timmy, reminder, we got a game tomorrow in San Diego, pal.
Well, you know, I've made my living behind the plate, and I often wondered what it was like from this end of it, and now I think I know.
Could you give the signs from there?
I can't even see people from here.
Well, we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. As Dave Dravecki is the new pitcher for the Padres. There's a little look to the right field by Boa. Coming on is Gwynn, makes a catch. The breeze held it up for him.
That's a great running catch right there. They talk about this guy's hitting, but as Earl Weaver said earlier, he is also an outstanding defensive player. He was his eye on the ball, When the ball is below your knees, below the belt, you keep both the little fingers together to catch the ball. You see him put both hands together, both little fingers together. Bingo! I got you.
It's a good play. He was off with the crack of the bat.
And here is Steve Trout. Drevecki misses outside. Well, the Padres pick up a run in the 6th. They get a fine catch from Gwynn to start off the bottom of the 6th here. Wonder if that can make things turn as Garvey goes on through Drevecki. And there's 2 gone. Right now, we're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WFAA-TV, Channel 8, Dallas, Fort Worth.
We're back here at Wrigley Field, the National League Championship Series in game number 2. That's the story. 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Cubs on top by a score of 4-2. They picked up a run in the 1st. They got 2 in the 3rd. The Padres got a run in the 4th, and the Cubs picked up another run in the 4th to make it 4-1. Then the Padres scored in the top of the 6th, and that's where we stand as Bob Dernier stands in.
You know, a lot of people have said that Dave Drevecki has pitched as well as anybody on this ball club.
He's got good stuff. There's a strike in the count, 1-1. Dernier, well, I'll tell you one thing. You talk about catalyst. We're talking about Wiggins. What about Dernier? 3 runs scored. Whoa, 3 runs scored yesterday and 2 today.
Well, he set the tempo yesterday with that leadoff home run, Don.
Yes, sir. Reminder that the National League Championship Series, an ABC Sports exclusive, is being brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh's Light, proud sponsors of the Stroh's Run for Liberty.
Anytime you see a guy with 3 home runs hit a ball almost completely out of the ballpark, it lets the rest of the team know that they can do the same thing.
That's right. Hey, if he can get it that far, what can we do? That's hit hard and foul. Don Zimmer getting out of the way.
Talking about being a catalyst, he's been on base 6 of 8 times.
1 for 2 this afternoon with a pair of runs scored and a stolen base. And that good base running play in the very 1st inning, going from 1st to 3rd on a ground ball out to Salazar at 3rd. Jams him, fouls it away. The count 1-2.
Drevecki's throwing the ball good. He's only supposed to have an average fastball. They say he can jam right-handed hitters, and he just tried right there. He's got a good curve, he's got a good slider, and he's got a pound ball as a changeup.
He's got good stuff, Earl. I faced him in spring training. He throws the ball exceptionally well. He keeps it down, and he can run the ball back in on left-handers.
The count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th.
Okay, gentlemen, what about the umpires so far?
I tell you, the mark of good umpiring is when you don't notice them, and we have not noticed them, so they're doing a pretty good job.
That's,
great comment.
Amen, Earl. That is perfect. Did he go around? Yes, he did. They missed the tag, and Dernier is gone. The Cubs are gone in the 6th inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Drevecki. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. As you look at that half swing, check swing, we're through 6. The Cubs lead it by a score of 4-2. Well, we talked about all of the perches around the friendly confines. Now, if you go down that street where you see the 9 on that board, that is where Dave Kingman hit a ball. And that is about 3 houses down. Kingman, they measured it, about 550 feet down that street, completely out of the ballpark and down that street.
Let me tell you this, pal. 550 feet might be a little shy on that estimation.
That's right. That is on Kenmore Street, just off of Waveland. As Martinez sends a ground ball to Boa on the big hop. And there's 1 out in the top of the 7th. Another ground ball out. And that'll bring on the catcher, Terry Kennedy.
Well, you hate to take the bat out of your hitter's hands by putting on the take, but there are 2 runs down, and I'd like to see if I'm managing the ball club, I might like to see if Trout's going to get a little wild.
I always wondered about situations like that, Earl.
So does the manager, Reggie. He really don't know whether to put it on, or he don't know whether to let him swing. You hate to penalize your hitters.
I always wondered, because you never know, a guy all of a sudden might hit a ball out of the ballpark. Now you're only 1 run down.
Right. In the old days, the take was automatic when you were more than one run down. But baseball's changed. But just because of what you said, many guys can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and all of a sudden, one pitch, you're only one down.
High behind home plate. That'll be out of play. Coming back our way and just below us. You saw Craig Lefferts just a while ago down in that San Diego bullpen.
So the talk around the batting cage the first day in here yesterday was that they felt they were going to have to get some offense out of Terry Kennedy. He has not swung the bat well this year as he has the last couple of years, driving in only 57 runs this year, 90-some years before, and he has not been pulling the ball in this series here. He's got a couple of flyouts to left field.
Matter of fact, twice this afternoon, he's 0 for 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kennedy.
And they've got one of their 20 home run hitters out of the lineup.
And Greg Nettles is on the bench today.
Up the middle. Easy play for Sandberg on to Durham. There's 2 gone. Another ground ball out. And that will bring on Luis Salazar. Salazar has struck out and flied to right. There's Nettles down the dugout.
He's got 12 or 14 ground balls already.
Well, when Trout is right, that's high to right field. So he does not throw that many pitches. It's in the breeze, and Moreland will have an easy play. The Padres are gone 1, 2, 3. So we go to the bottom of the 7th inning with the Cubs leading at 4-2, and we'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station. Stretch here at Wrigley Field, and of course you have always the man in the booth, and there he is, the one and only Harry Caray. Of course, in the bottom of the 7th inning, Ryan Sandberg will lead it off. It'll be Sandberg followed by Matthews and Moreland. Dravecki, the 3rd Padre pitcher of the afternoon.
I'll tell you, if you hang around here long enough, they'll turn you into a Cub fan. They've got Cub mania, pal.
Oh, this town is unbelievable. There's right-hander George Frazier in the bullpen for the Cubs.
Well, we've got a ball game out at the old ballpark here.
Yep,
we do.
The Padres are thinking one thing right now. They're just a base runner and one big swing away from tying it. It's 4-2. Sandberg 1 for 3 this afternoon. That's to the whole Cup play for Temple, and sets, throws, good arm. Does it get it? Oh, my. Here comes Dick Williams.
Well, he was on the bag. He was on the bag.
I say he's out.
What's the manager going to say in this situation? What can you say?
Earl, how can you say something like that? If you don't know, pal, no one does. Here's a hard ground ball hit by Sandberg into the hole. Templeton makes a great backhand play, sets himself, throws, gets rid of the ball quickly, and makes a great throw, a strong throw.
He's out, Reggie.
It looks like he was out.
I think he's out.
Yep.
We'll get it from another angle.
A great
We see Garvey on the bag.
And he is out.
The only thing I thought is maybe Garvey come off the bag, but we can see he's on the bag and he's out.
Too bad.
No, it'll go as an infield single for Sandberg, and here's Gary Matthews. The first hit off of Dravecki.
We might see a little hit and run here.
Matthews has bounced to short twice, and he has walked. High to the right side. Now it's in the breeze as Gwynn will make the play. One gone. And that'll bring on the right fielder, Keith Moreland. Sandberg at first, Garvey to hold. 1 out, 1 on. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Cubs on top, 4-2.
I was surprised Garvey didn't say something.
I was too. Moreland has doubled. He's singled and scored, and he's flying to right. Well, you got to keep an eye on Sandberg. He has 32 stolen bases.
And he's only been caught 7 times.
That's during the regular season.
That is an outstanding percentage, I'll tell you.
He'll be going. The report on Drevecki is he has an average move, and a lot of scouts think you can run on him.
There's a good fastball.
It's a little surprising right there to me. You saw Moreland try to turn on that ball. Although the ball was inside, that's the swing he had to take at it, I guess. But you saw him earlier take Mark Thurman to right field. Hit the ball very sharp to right field. It seems as though he would be trying to go to right field again as well.
And he's got that big hole over there this time with Garvey holding Sandberg.
Well, he'll usually try to go to right field after he gets behind the pitcher in the count. I think he'll take that good, strong swing first pitch or when he's ahead.
Good, they got him picked off. Garvey to Templeton. Now Templeton will run him back on a little crazy throw by Garvey. And that will do it. So Sandberg is out 1-3-6 away. Steve threw that just like nothing, all caution to the wind.
Well, Sandberg was guessing. He was going the minute Drevecki made a move. He didn't even try to get back. He was on his way. If the ball went to home plate, he had it stolen. If Drevecki went to first base, he's picked off. That's exactly what happened.
Well, there's a lot of times when you're going to steal a base, you just are committed and you're going to go and take off.
That's what happened there.
He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar that time.
That's it. Tough play for Wiggins, but he's there to make the catch, and the side is retired. The Cubs are gone in the 7th. We're through 7. 4-2, Chicago.
Baseball fever. Catch it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Well, coming up shortly will be ABC's World News Tonight. Let's check in with Peter Tinning to see what stories we'll look at tonight.
Well, Don, we've been keeping half an eye on the game because one of the things we have to brace for on World News Tonight is an appearance by our commentator, George Will. I mentioned it first because he certainly qualifies as one of our planet's most devoted Cub fans. On a more serious note, we'll be reporting on the first active FBI agent ever to be arrested and charged with spying for the Soviet Union. And there's also a study in tomorrow's New England Journal of Medicine, which will interest a lot of people. It is on the benefits and dangers of exercise. And we'll have a report on that. Have a good game. Don?
Thank you, Peter. As we go to the top of the 8th inning, Gary Templeton leading it off as he has the count of ball and a strike. And Henry Cotto is your new left fielder for the Cubs.
And I can guarantee you that Templeton was taking the first 2 pitches, trying to get on base.
Now the Padres need 2 to tie. Kurt Bavakwa down in the on-deck circle. He will hit for Drevecki. That's low, and there goes Davis. And
well, they got the big man up down there in the bullpen, so I'm sure it won't be long.
2-0 pitch was called a strike.
There's Smith down in the bullpen. Templeton has bounced to second twice, and here comes Jimmy Fry. He might have already seen enough, Earl.
No, I wouldn't think so. Not unless he can take a little time.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to hesitate, Earl, to bring the big guy in there.
Oh, no.
They've got the shadows creeping out there. Only need 6 more outs.
And once again, you look at the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise overhead from Pompano Beach, Florida. The pilot is Captain Don Glaskonak from Randolph, Ohio. And a cameraman up there this afternoon, Charlie Mitchell. Boy, they've had some pretty shots. Well, Jimmy's heard what he wants to hear. He's satisfied.
Well, what he did was bought a little time there. Let his pitcher in the bullpen get warmed up. Trout's only thrown 69 pitches up to this point, so it's possible that he could go 9 if he stays out of trouble.
But he walks Templeton, and indeed, the Padres Padres are one swing of the bat from making this a tie ball game. The second walk of the afternoon.
Well, Donnie, you know, they really don't hit a lot of home runs, so I'm sure they're not thinking home run right now. One of the guys that hits home runs for them, Greg Nettles, with 20 home runs on the bench. I'm sure as soon as we see Lee Smith, we might see Greg Nettles get a bat.
Well, you see Bavacqua with only one. See that number at Wrigley Field, 4 for 31. The Padres on the year during the regular season only hit 109. So what Dick Williams will try and do right here is try and get some of the rabbits running if he can.
Well, Earl, we get a little cat and mouse right now between managers.
It's getting to that point. We didn't have any managerial strategy in the game yesterday, but this one's leading to it.
Got it coming now, pal, huh?
There's the strike to Bavacqua. You got Templeton at first with good speed. The Cubs on top 4-2. Deacon Jones down in that dugout. There's Jimmy Fry over in the Cub dugout. Threw that ball by him.
Trout has reached back and come up with some speed on the fastball.
It wasn't a strike.
He reaches back here. That ball is up in the strike zone. Throwing the ball 90 miles an hour in the 8th inning.
I knew he could.
Outside the count 1-2. Dernier moves in a couple of steps as he looked at the flags in center field. They're blowing right straight in. Moreland straight away and right. Dernier fairly shallow center, with Cotto with good speed straight away and left. Chopper, and that'll be foul.
Mr. Bavacqua is no stranger to pinch hitting, that's for sure. He has kept himself in the big leagues by pinch hitting during the last 7, 8, 9 years, just as a part-time player. He's got 7 hits and 30 trips this time, and he's 1 home run has come as a pinch hitter.
And there's Big Goose in the bullpen.
Well, they got to hold him right there. They got to try and get within breathing range, and they are that right now.
I'll tell you what, they tie this ball game up the way the lights go here, and it gets a little bit dark. It'll be real interesting to see what happens with Lee Smith and Rich Gossett on the mound, both throwing the ball between 97 and 100 miles an hour. We might be here till next week trying to score.
That could be. Look at that stat on Kurt. Ranks 5th among active players with 75 career pinch hits.
I remember all those strikeouts in the All-Star game, if you can remember back when Gooden and Valenzuela were striking everyone out. Well, it was twilight. I don't want to take anything away from them because they're both outstanding and great. But it's tough to see. You bring these 2 guys in, and it'll be tough to make contact, pal.
Right side, Sandberg could be 2. DeBoa for 1. Back to Durham, the double play.
Right straight at the Chicago Cubs. Ron Sandberg right there.
No, I was very impressed the way Sandberg handled that ball, Earl. I mean, it hit his glove, and it was like a vice, like a trap.
Well, we see it again. Bavacqua hit the ball hard.
Ball's hit sharp. Look at that. Bam.
Perfect double play ball. They had all the time in the world.
Textbook. Take pictures and run that one back. Package it and sell it.
How long can things keep going your way?
Here's Alan Wiggins, the leadoff hitter. He takes his strike.
I'm sure the Cubs are only hoping for another couple hours. Maybe a few minutes.
Bud and Trout will have a play. Turns the wrong way, throws wild. Down in the bullpen as it'll go way down the line as Wiggins goes to second base, and he'll hold right there. Steve had the play easy, and he turned the wrong way.
Well, no one was expecting that, and Wiggins doing everything he can do to keep everything alive and to get something started like a leadoff man should.
You take a look at it again, Earl. Wiggins trying to do anything to get on base. Trout goes after the ball, and being left-handed, turns the opposite way to try to set himself to throw. The ball gets away from him. Bingo. Runner on second base. Not a very good bunt. The ball is bunted hard. Back to the mound where Trout can field the ball, but he loses his footing as he tries to turn around because he's left-handed and make that throw to first base. Here we see it again. He falls down trying to set himself. Now, I wonder if he'd have been better off just completely doing a 360.
That's exactly right. He got on the ball in a hurry. The ball was bunted sharply enough. All he had to do was make a 360 and make a nice toss over to Durham. Here's Gwynn. That will take care of it, though, as Cotto is in left field. And that is in for 3. So the Padres are turned away in the 8th. No runs, no hits in air. They leave a man. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Cubs are on top of the Padres, 4-2. Well, indeed, that could possibly happen. One more for the road. They're trying to pick that up here this afternoon. And there's even some of the fans that are happy in the trees. And be sure to join ABC Sports next Monday night for another exciting game on Monday Night Football as Joe Montana leads the San Francisco 49ers against Phil Simms and the New York Giants live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. New pitcher, Craig Lefferts. And there's a number of people on this San Diego ball club that really think that Craig could be the MVP of this team. Say takes a strike 0-1.
Well, he's another pitcher with what they call just an average fastball. His real good pitch is a screwball, especially to right-handed hitters. He can get right-handed hitters out.
See his numbers 3 and 4 on the year with a 2.13 ERA. He's the man that the Padres used to go to Gossage.
And when I played with the Yankees, they used Ron Davis in that position, and some players are absolutely outstanding at it. Here's the fellow that's done that for the Padres.
He really didn't make that Padre ball club until the last part of spring training, and he's done a whale of a job.
San Diego bullpen has looked good today.
They sure have.
Let's take a look at his motion, Don. You know, people wonder why a lot of players don't go into a full motion and that they use a stretch. Well, you usually see it in relievers because they're always coming into the ball game with men on base. And then, from my experience, when I talk to pitchers, it makes them have a little more control. They don't have as much to do. They have better control of their body. Consequently, they have better control of the strike zone.
That's to right center field. Playable. Gwynn to the alley. And it's out number 1. Well,
you take a look at his motion here. He doesn't go into a full windup. Doesn't have as much to do. He had problems earlier with his control. There you see the stretch, almost a half motion. Consequently, he's got better control of the strike zone.
Well, Leffert, 27 years old, born in Munich, West Germany, now makes his home in Tucson, Arizona. Well, I think that all started. Excuse me, I think it all started years ago with the Yankees with Bob Turley. When they went into that no wind-up thing, now you see more people, especially the relievers, coming out that way because that's the way they're used to coming into the ball game with men on base, and they stay in that little cinder.
He's actually pitching from a stretch position.
Right. Jody Davis with a count 0-1. Shadows start to move out in front of home plate once again.
You know, there was a fellow that showed so much, Fernando Valenzuela, when he pitched and went toward home, he looked up at the sky. Lefferts looks toward the ground and does it every time.
The count, 2 balls and a strike to Davis with Leon Durham on deck.
So some players have funny little things that they do to try to keep the ball down. I know John Curtis on our ball club wore his socks slow to remind him to keep the ball down.
Foul right side. 2-2 the count.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lefferts does that just to remind him of something.
It very well could.
Jim Fry there, he's got some anxious moments. 3 big outs ahead of him.
High on the building. All around Wrigley Field. The left field. That's off the end of the bat. Martinez is there. 2 gone.
That one would not have been gone yesterday.
No.
Okay, you win, Earl.
Might have got back to the warning track, though. Who knows?
One thing I'll say about you, Earl, is you never let the home run die. You are a man that's in love with the home run, which means I know I could have played for you for a long time.
Here's Leon Durham, 0 for 3 this afternoon. But he's made a couple of sparkling plays at first base that have really, and what you might say could have been key outs in this ball game.
True.
The high hopper Weaver definitely was a key out. That's first and third if it gets over his head.
The same way with the play on Garvey.
2 balls and no strikes. Garvey's ball in the 4th and Quinn's ball in the 6th. If you're looking to the Padre 9th, and you will have that coming up, Garvey will go to the bag. It'll be Garvey, McReynolds, and Martinez. So we are through 8 from Wrigley Field with the Cubs leading it by a score of 4-2. And we'll be back after this message and the word from our local station.
I'm here with Governor Jim Thompson, the governor of Illinois. Why no friendly wager with Governor Duke Magian in California?
Well, I made the offer. I bet him a day of salmon fishing on Lake Michigan, but I think he probably knows that the Cubs are going to do it, and I think he probably doesn't want to admit that there's great fishing anywhere but California. So I'll try again when I get out there tonight.
I suppose a lot of hooks in the 9th inning. Back to the booth with Don Drysdale.
All right, Timmy, thank you, and thank you, Governor, as Garvey takes his strike to the roar of the crowd. That is only the 79th pitch of the ball game thrown by Trout. Trout traded from the White Sox, and Dallas Green told Billy Connors, this is your project. And indeed, he's made that quite a project. Connors then spoke to Jack Ty, who said Steve had a great arm just like his dad, Dizzy. If he likes you, he'll run through the wall. So evidently, there must be an admiration society there somewhere.
Over the last 2 winters, Don, Steve Trout has been to Florida to see Billy Connors in the offseason.
Well, he's learned to pitch. With the White Sox, he was more of a thrower.
Right back to Trout. To Durham, 1 goal. And that'll bring on Kevin McReynolds.
You know how I like to see my pitcher grab the ball, run to first base, and give that first baseman that easy throw rather than to do anything else.
How about the first out of every inning, Earl?
Oh, that's a big one with a 2-run lead.
Yes, sir. Here's Kevin McReynolds. Bounce to short. Get a line drive. Sacrifice fly was kind of fielder's choice.
Well, Billy Connors told Steve Trout that if you don't mature with your attitude, then you're just going to be a fringe guy and go from club to club.
1 ball and no strikes. Don't forget Game 2 of the American League Championship playoffs coming up tonight from Royal Stadium. The Tigers and the Royals. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern, and we will be back with you tomorrow night from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. Game 3 of these National League Championship Series. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern.
No, I can tell you as a ball player, when the crowd gets going and all the adrenaline gets pumping, it certainly does help a ball player. I'm sure that it's going to help Steve Trout here in this 9th inning.
Well, Jody Davis just ran out and told Trout, don't get fined now. We cannot get hurt until a man gets on base.
That's outside. 3-1 the count.
Sometimes the harder you want to throw a strike, the harder it becomes.
Well, I'm sure he's excited right now.
Time call. That's high, but time was called.
Oh, my.
Time was called.
Third base umpire called time, and Boa spotted it, and so did Jody Davis. We might be back to a 3-1 count and nobody on base.
That's exactly what it is.
You're going to get a rhubarb here.
Instead of the tying run coming to the plate, there was no pitch.
I'm kind of waiting for Dick Williams to come out of that dugout.
Well, he called it in
time.
I think Dick saw him call it, too. He's looking right out there at him.
Well, we know Dick saw him call it, or he'd be out there. Another break for the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, it was.
Possible break. It will depend on what Trout does right here.
He walks him anyway. So McReynolds is aboard, and that'll bring on Martinez.
Now you look from one dugout and you look to the other one because you look for Jim Fry.
He's not going to hesitate.
And you're going to see Jim Fry. And you've got the big right-hander Lee Smith in the bullpen. Trout did not throw that last ball well at all.
Seemed to aim it.
And they won't even have a conversation, so they'll have a pitching change with a break in the action. 1 out, top of the 9th. The tying run at the plate, 4-2 Chicago. anxious Sandra Trout right now, hoping that the big man on the mound, Lee Smith, can do what he's done so well all year long and pick up a victory for her husband here this afternoon. You see Lee, 69 appearances on the regular season, 33 saves, a record of 9-7, and a 3.65 ERA. So we have another switch. Davy Lopes has moved in to play right field, so you might have a little double switch right here.
Well, the manager's already got his mind made up before that inning starts. I'm sure Jim Fry had his mind made up. If a man got on, he was going to make the move. That way you're not going to be indecisive. You know exactly what you're going to do, and it didn't take Fry long to get out of the dugout.
It'll be Martinez, the scheduled hitter, with Kennedy on deck. The story. There's 1 out, 1 on, and we're in the top of the 9th inning. The Cubs on top by 2. The tying run at the plate in Martinez, a young man that was in the Cub organization, moving over to the Padres in the deal this spring. As you see, Martinez 1 for 3 this afternoon. He singled his first time at bat up the middle, but after that, he has grounded twice to Boa, and that is what he doesn't want right here.
You know, I will say that the San Diego Padres have had their chances today, Don. They have not gotten a base hit in order to break the Camel's back, but they have certainly had their opportunities.
On that outside corner, 0-1.
And there won't be any mystery about what Smith is going to try to do. He's going to try to overpower him. The pitch was 97 miles an hour.
They've had him clocked at over 100 miles an hour this year in San Francisco, Earl, so I'm sure that Mr. Martinez is geared and ready.
Him up foul. That'll be out of play and just below us. So the count very quickly is 0-2. You talk about 97, and that one was 99, going in and out of the shadows. How do you like that?
I tell you, there are not very many pitchers in all of baseball that throw any harder than that. If there are, then I haven't heard very much about it.
And yet Martinez, to me, looked like he had that bat around it. You know, didn't miss it by much.
I know Jack Morris was up around 96, 97 last night, and Gossage and Ryan can get up there, but you're not going to see much harder than this guy's throwing.
Well, Durham is holding the runner on, and I don't see much sense in that.
Just outside, and the crowd comes to their feet. So they do a little wishful umpiring here.
Look at that ball go in and out of the sunlight. And I mean, just missed it. 100 miles an hour. This man is 6'6".
Got him on a breaking pitch.
That's almost impossible to hit that ball right there. You've got to gear up to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And if he throws you a curveball or anything off speed, you just have to hope that you either don't swing or it's so far outside that it's not a strike. But that ball happened to be on the plate and was a strike as well.
On the corner, knee high.
Oh, my.
Now here's Terry Kennedy. 0 for 3 this afternoon.
They're on their feet here, Don.
They're ready, and they're geared and poised. Down low. Low strike and a late call. 0-1 the count.
That was not a good pitch.
Look at this call. Watch for his right hand.
A little closer than I thought, but I still think it was low out of the strike zone.
He still hasn't called it yet.
And now Durham is way back at first base.
100 miles an hour.
Play left side.
And now he's got him in the hole, a ball and 2 strikes. And I'm sure that Terry Kennedy is aware of the breaking ball that Lee Smith has. I'll tell you, as a hitter, you can forget the breaking ball. They're on their feet and they're screaming, Don.
Oh, I'll tell you, they're ready to go. They want their Cubs to go out to San Diego 2-0. They'll take their chances from there. To left field, hit well, going back Cotto to the wall, but he'll have the play and makes the catch.
So the congratulations for Lee Smith as he saves it for Steve Trout, who pitched a whale of a ball game. It sent Cotto to the wall as the Cubs jump out to a commanding lead in the second game of the series. The Cubs 4, the Padres 2.